You have everything needed for the extravagant journey that is your life. We either make ourselves miserable, or we make ourselves strong. The amount of work is the same. The basic difference between an ordinary man and a warrior is that a warrior takes everything as a challenge, while an ordinary man takes everything as a blessing or a curse. The aim is to balance the terror of being alive with the wonder of being alive. In a world where death is the hunter, my friend, there is no time for regrets or doubts. There is only time for decisions. A man of knowledge lives by acting, not by thinking about acting. We hardly ever realize that we can cut anything out of our lives, anytime, in the blink of an eye. Nobody knows who I am, or what I do, not even I. For me there is only the traveling on paths that have heart, on any path that may have heart, and the only worthwhile challenge is to traverse its full length, and there I travel looking breathlessly. Forget the self, and you will fear nothing, in whatever level or awareness you find yourself to be. A man goes to knowledge as he goes to war. Wide awake, with fear, with respect, and with absolute assurance. Going to knowledge, or going to war in any other manner is a mistake. And whoever makes it might never live to regret it. Think about it. What weakens us is feeling offended by the deeds and misdeeds of our fellow men. Our self-importance requires that we spend most of our lives offended by someone. Only as a warrior can one withstand the path of knowledge. A warrior cannot complain or regret anything. His life is an endless challenge, and challenges cannot possibly be good or bad. Challenges are simply challenges. The average man is hooked to his fellow men, while the warrior is hooked only to infinity. You say you need help. Help for what? You have everything needed for the extravagant journey that is your life. Seek and see all the marvels around you. You will get tired of looking at yourself alone, and that fatigue will make you deaf and blind to everything else. Life in itself is sufficient, self-explanatory, and complete. For an instant, I think I saw the loneliness of man as a gigantic wave which had been frozen in front of me, held back by the invisible wall of a metaphor. Look at every path closely and deliberately, then ask ourselves this crucial question. Does this path have a heart? If it does, then the path is good. If it doesn't, then it is of no use to us. We are men, and our lot in life is to learn and to behold into inconceivable new worlds. Anything is one of a million paths. Therefore, you must always keep in mind that a path is only a path. If you feel you should not follow, you must not stay with it under any circumstances. To ask me to verify my life, by giving you my statistics, is like using science to validate sorcery. It robs the world of its magic and makes milestones out of us all. If one is to succeed in anything, the success must come gently, with a great deal of effort, but with no stress or obsession. The hardest thing in the world is for a warrior to let others be. A warrior takes his lot, whatever it may be, and accepts it in ultimate humbleness. He accepts in humbleness what he is, not as a grounds for regret, but as a living challenge. We either make ourselves miserable, or we make ourselves strong. The amount of work is the same. Nothing can temper the spirit of a warrior as much as the challenge of dealing with impossible people in positions of power. Only under those conditions can warriors acquire the sobriety and serenity to withstand the pressure of the unknowable. Man lives only to learn. And if he learns, it is because it is the nature of his lot, for good or bad. A man goes to knowledge as he goes to war, wide awake, with fear, with respect, and with absolute assurance. A warrior must focus his attention on the link between himself and his death. He must let each of his acts be his last battle on earth. Only under those conditions will his acts have their rightful power. To seek the perfection of the warrior's spirit is the only task worthy of our temporariness, our manhood. There are lots of things a warrior can do at a certain time which he couldn't do years before. Those things themselves did not change. What changed was his idea of himself. A warrior, or any man for that matter, cannot possibly wish he was somewhere else. A warrior because he lives by challenge. An ordinary man because he doesn't know where his death is going to find him. Power rests on the kind of knowledge one holds. What is the sense of knowing things that are useless? We don't need anyone to teach us sorcery, because there is really nothing to learn. What we need is a teacher to convince us that there is incalculable power at our fingertips. What a strange paradox. A fine power is always heralded by great pain. The art of a warrior is to balance the terror of being a man with the wonder of being a man. There is no beginning, the beginning is only in your thought. I had been reared, perhaps like everyone else, to have a readiness to accept man as an essentially weak and fallible creature. Warriors are incapable of feeling compassion because they no longer feel sorry for themselves. Without the driving force of self-pity, compassion is meaningless. Nobody is born a warrior in exactly the same way that no one is born an average man. Be aware of those who weep with realization, for they have realized nothing. I would say that the best of us always comes out when we are against the wall, when we feel the sword dangling overhead. I've been experiencing brief flashes of disassociation, or shallow states of non-ordinary reality. A warrior seeks to act, rather than to talk. Nothing is pending in the world. Nothing is finished, yet nothing is unresolved. Everything is filled to the brim. A warrior doesn't need personal history. One day, he finds it is no longer necessary for him, and he drops it. A man is defeated only when he no longer tries and abandons himself. Detached and at ease, I will dart past the eagle to be free. To meet an ally, a man must be a spotless warrior, or the ally may turn against him and destroy him. The journey by itself was sufficient. Any hope of arriving at a permanent position was outside the boundaries of his knowledge. You will hear if you stop listening with your ears. Great things are not done by impulse, but by a series of small things brought together. Art is to console those who are broken by life. What would life be if we had no courage to attempt anything? A warrior considers himself already dead, so there is nothing to lose. Upon learning to see, a man becomes everything by becoming nothing. When men fell to his knees, he became the asshole he is today. You must marry a woman who has sex with someone from your tribe. A fox is not taken twice in the same snare.